Okay, Boker Tov, good morning, and we're up to Test of Amar Aleph, top line. But just to get back a little bit, what was the Gemara talking about? It mentioned, it was talking about Hulda. The issue was about the Shevan Nevios, and it mentioned about Hulda. It says that she was a descendant of Yeshua, and then there also someone brought there was a descendant of Hulda, of Rochav, Hazona, and the Gemara said, okay, it's not a problem. So Yeshua married Rochav, and she's a descendant of both. And in the Brisa that was brought to prove that she was a descendant, so over there it brought down on the second wide line back on Yadalat Amud Beis, it says there was 8 Nevi'im, and they were Baruch and Neria. It says in the Gemara, Neria and Baruch, they changed around the gear, so it should be Baruch and Neria because all of them say first the son, then the father. Baruch and Neria, Sreya and Machsaya, Yirmiyah and Chalkiah, his father, Shachanam and Shalom, his father. So that's what the Gemara starts now on the first line of Tezvav Amar Aleph. They themselves are explicitly in the Navi that they were Nevi'im. If you go back to Baruch and Sraya, Yirmiyah and Chanamel. Sraya and Chanamel is not so simple that they were Nevi'im, but Rashi says that we do find them as being Talmidim or contact with Yirmiyah, so they also are assumed to be Nevi'im. But the fathers, all four fathers, it doesn't say anything about them. So why should we assume that Neriah, the father of Baruch, and Sraya ben Machsaya, and etc., why should we Yirmiyah ben Chilkiyahu, Chanamel ben Shalom, all the fathers, why should we think that they are Nevi'im? Menolan, how do you know that the Alabasai Menolan? How do you know that the fathers are prophets? The Gemara answers Kedeula. Damrulo kol makom sheshmo v'shemo v'nevios biyadu shu navi ben navi. Whenever the navi, in the psukim, it'll say also his father's name, even though it's not talking about his father, it's talking about the son. But if it mentions his father's name, that's also coming to hint that the father is also a prophet. Shmo v'lo shemo v'biyadu shu navi v'lo ben navi. If it just says his own name, it doesn't say his father's name, then the pasuk is saying that only he's a Navi and his father is not. But if it says his father's name also, Yirmiyah ben Chilkiyahu, that means Chilkiyahu was also a Navi. The Brisa continues, that's all we need for our purposes, but the Brisa continues already. Not Brisa, Ula. Shmo v'shem miru mefurash b'yadua shehu ma'osair. If it says where he came from, so then he came from that city, that's obvious. But Shmo v'lo shem miru, if it says a Navi and it doesn't say from which city he came from, b'yadua shem Yerushalayim. Stam Navi is from Yerushalayim. That's the place where to get Nevuah. So if it says especially where the city came from, so he was not from Yerushalayim, but it doesn't say, then Stam is from Yerushalayim. The Brisa continues similarly. We learned the Brisa, first wide line. If it talks about a person and his father, and we don't know about them, by one of them it says something good, is that his deeds were good, so then we could assume that the father or the son, whatever it was, is also good. The same idea as before about a nevuah, also by being a tzaddik. If it says a person, the son of somebody, and it says that he's a tzaddik, so you could assume the father also was a tzaddik. And it gives an example. Kigon, ben Kushi ben Gedalia. That's the pasuk in the beginning of Tzfanya, the Navi called Tzfanya. Over there it says also his father, his grandfather. So you could assume, because the pasuk is coming to hint to you, that his father and grandfather also were tzaddikim. But if it says that one of them is a rasha, it says that one of them is not.
We lost sound.
Okay.
I'm going to put it on correctly.
Okay. Is the sound on now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So then, thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay. The microphone, there's a new microphone, and the compliments of Shaul. And if it has to be adjusted, please let us know. It's the first time we're using it. Thank you. So here it says that if you have somebody that it talks about his fathers also, and then it says that he's not good, so you can assume the father is also not good. And it gives an example of Ishmael ben Esania ben Elishama, that he was the one who killed Gedalia ben Achikam, and it also mentions his father's name, his grandfather's name, Yadua Shud Rasha ben Rasha. Then you could assume that the ancestors also were Rishon. That's the end of that sugya, more or less, that I spoke about, this 48 prophets. We're still going to continue a little bit more about the 48 prophets and the 7 prophetesses. And the one was very elaborate about the 7 prophetesses. The last one was about Huldah. And because of that, we got this extra credit that it said that she came from Yeshua and from Rochav. And in the Brisa, it was spoke about Yeshua. So it spoke about 4 Nevi'im and also their fathers. And this is what we found out now, that if it says somebody with his father's name, you could assume that the father is also a Navi, also about a tzaddik, and also about a Rasha, that if it says somebody and his father's name and it says about the son that he's a Rasha, Why did the pasuk bring in the father's name? To hint that the father also was a Rasha. The
Why,
Gemara,
excuse me, why didn't Rashi, there was one where he said he only had 46 and
yes,
he didn't know the others, and one of them was like Amos ben Amatzia,
yes.
and it's Amatzia ben somebody, and then his father would be a.
Ishayahu ben Amos. Over there was Ishayahu ben Amos. We know Ishai is in the list also over there. I'm not sure if I'm asking the same question as you are. You're saying
There, I
Amos?
thought there was one, at least one there that Rashi mentioned, whose father was mentioned, and Rashi didn't mention the father as a Navi.
I have to go back. Okay, I don't know. We're on the fifth line, 15a, Omer of Nachman Malachi. The issue is Malachi. There's a Navi's name is Malachi, one of the 12 books, Treyasar, Chagas Chaim Malachi. The last one is called Malachi. It doesn't say anything about him. It just says that Malachi. It doesn't say anything about him. So who is Malachi? So there are a few opinions. First, the Gemara tries that he's Mordechai. Malachi is a Mordechai. Lama the Krishma Malachi. Why does he get such a name? Shoy Mishnah Lamelech, because he became the viceroy, he became second to the king. So Malachi sounds a little bit like Melech. It has an aleph over there also, but that'll be a hint that he was something royal. That Mordechai was royalty and of the Persian royalty, and that's why he might have been nicknamed as Malachi. But the more disproves that. Basically, the Mazakasha from a Brisa, it says a list of Nevi'im, and the Brisa is going to say Mordechai and Malachi. So that's it. If it says Mordechai and Malachi, that means Mordechai is not Malachi. What does it say? It says in the Brisa, Baruch ben Area, Sroya ben Machseya. They changed that to Machseya, as we had before. Daniel, Mordechai Bilshan. That's Mordechai. Mordechai is called Mordechai Bilshan. The Gemara says because he knew many languages. Lashon. And Chagai is Chaim Malachi. Kulan Isnabu B'shnash Taim L'Dayavesh. All of these Nevi'im, they prophesied in the second year of Dayavesh. That's when the Beis Mikdash started being built. This is Darius the second. This is Darius the Persian, the son of Achashverosh, according to the Midrashim. And that's when they prophesied. So as far as what we want from the Brisa is that it says Mordechai and it says Malachi. If it says Mordechai and Malachi, so Mordechai is not Malachi. Agav, it's a point and Tufta, that's it. So we knocked off this opinion. This was Rav Nachman that said Malachi is Mordechai. Can't be, because the Brisa says there's Mordechai and Malachi. So that's disproven. That's Agav. It does say that Daniel was a prophet, and that's a little difficult. The Gemara before a while ago it spoke about Daniel. Hanan Mishal Bazai says Daniel's not a prophet. Here it does list him as a prophet. So maybe it has to be asked.
Was Mordechai listed?
What is that?
Was Mordechai listed as a prophet?
Mordechai in Rashi in the 48. Rashi does list him, I think. The Rashi before spoke about Daniel, that the Seder Olam lists Daniel, and the Gemara before said Daniel is not a Navi. That's Rashi. Let us still go back a second to Rashi by the 48.
Oh, I see. He says he has Malachi and Mordechai.
That's because the Gemara is going to say that Malachi is not Mordechai. So here on Yudal Manal, in Rashi, in the second column, it does. He says the Seder Olam says Daniel. But he says that Gemara says on Av Gimel that Daniel is not a Navi. So Rashi says differently. But just to point out that the Gemara right here also again says that Daniel is a prophet. So just to point that out. Continuing on Gemara, the Gemara continues with the identity of Malachi. We just disprove that it's not Mordechai. The Gemara continues, Tan Yomer Bishua ben Karcha, Malachi is a Ezra. That's a nickname for Ezra. And here comes out that Ezra would be a prophet under the name Malachi. And Chacham seem to say no. His name is really Malachi, and don't look for any kind of identity because that's him. It's somebody you don't know anything about, but his name is Malachi. And the Gemara is going to try to support the opinion that he was Ezra. So we have three opinions, but either Mordechai or Ezra or Malachi, and that's his name. And the Gemara disproved the first opinion, so he's not Mordechai. So the two choices are either he's Ezra or it's not either. It's just a person called Malachi. It is reasonable to assume that he's Ezra, and the Gemara is going to bring that both Malachi and in Ezra there was an issue about taking foreign women. In the prophecy of Malachi it says, it says that Yehuda betrayed and did an abomination, and in Yerushalayim because they profaned, because Yehuda profaned that holy to Hashem, and he that he had relations with a non-Jewish woman. So in the story of Malachi, it talks about men who took non-Jewish women. And over there, the whole story talks about that they had also Jewish wives and they betrayed them and they took the non-Jewish wife. So the whole prophecy in the book of Malachi about this issue. And you see that happened in the days of Ezra. Who was the one who separated the foreign wives from the men. And that's, his mama says the story over there. Ezra, and over there says that Atlantic, where just means one pasuk about it. Tchsiv Bayan Shechenya ben Yechiel mebnei Elom Yomal Ezra Anachnu Baalnu Balokenu Banoshev Noshim Nachuyos. Over there it says when Ezra came in his aliyah, the second aliyah, he came to Eretz Yisrael. So with the second aliyah from from Babel, Persia. So it says that the people came to complain to Ezra that there were people there were men who had taken foreign wives. Over there has the whole list. It says the whole list of people who did. It comes out about 103 of the nation had taken foreign wives. And Ezra made a big campaign to separate those wives. So that's the end of that Gemara, and all this was about Malachi. We have the heading over here, Malachi. Who's Malachi? It's not Mordechai, because the Brisa says Malachi and Mordechai. It might be Ezra, as the Gemara says that in both Nevi and both by Ezra and by Malachi it talks about the foreign wives that they had taken. And there's another opinion that says that his name was Malachi, and that's his name. His name is Malachi, not a nickname. That's his real name. Now the Gemara continues another talking more about not yet getting back to the Megillah says yet, but Tanu Rabbanan, there were 4 beautiful women. I guess the most beautiful women in the world. And it says Sarah. Here it says just the order is wrong. So it says Sarah, Rochab, Abigail, and Esther. The pasuk also talk, by all of them, it's probably going to say in the pasuk that they were beautiful. Rochab, I don't recall. By Sarah, it says that Avram said that the Sarah was beautiful. Therefore, he was scared that the Mitzrayim were going to take her, which at the end did happen. That they brought it to Paro. Rochav, I don't think that it says in the pasuk that she was beautiful. I don't know. That was at the end. The Gemara says that Yeshua married her. We just had that a few minutes ago. And Abigail, I don't recall that it says that she was beautiful in the pasuk. That was Abigail, who was the wife of Nabal, and then after her husband died, so then David married her. And Esther, I think Gemara spoke about Esther. She was naturally beautiful, or she was not naturally beautiful, but she found favor in the eyes of people, and she seemed beautiful. So that's what the Gemara is going to talk about. Esther, it says here on the list that Esther was beautiful, but the Gemara says that's not so simple. According to the opinion that says that Esther had really a green complexion and she wasn't beautiful, so she wouldn't be in the list. But then Vashti would be in the list. Vashti was beautiful.
Why is it necessary to say this?
I don't know. What's the purpose of saying that these women were so beautiful? I don't know. That's just a point on the side that 3 out of the 4 were of the prophetesses. There were 7 prophetesses, and Sarah, Abigail, and Esther are 3 of them. So it is interesting that out of the 7 prophetesses, 3 of them were the most beautiful women in the world. But I don't know why the Gemara says. It doesn't say why it says. Tana Rabbanan, Rochav Bishma Zinsa. The Gemara is going to talk about again these women who were so beautiful. Rochav Bishma Zinsa, Yael Bekola, Abigail B'Zchirasa, Michal Bashol B'Riyasa. So it has on 2 more women also that we didn't talk about yet. Yael, she's the one who killed Sisera, and Michal Bashol, who was also a wife of David. And it says that all of them were so beautiful that people would be extremely aroused because of them. So it says by Rochav, even just saying her name would arouse people. And Yael with her voice, Abigail by mentioning her, Schirasa would mean, I guess, thinking about her, and Michal Bashol if someone would see her. Why is the Gemara? We would all this, like if I'm just asking now, must be a reason why the Gemara wants us to know this. I don't know, but the 4 women that each one was so beautiful that aroused in different ways.
The only reason why there's probably more to it, but it wants to tell us the nates of Esther, even though she was great.
No, the Gemara is saying that. No, the Gemara is saying that. On the contrary, that she was not beautiful. The Gemara is saying these are the ones that were naturally beautiful. This next Gemara we had already in Tainus, and we're having here again. Omer Yitzchak, Omer Rochav was so beautiful that if anybody would say her name, he would have a seminal emission. Nikri, he would have a seminal emission. I say her name, it doesn't make a difference to me. So I don't understand. He didn't understand what the Gemara meant. I mean, if you know her, if you recognize her, then if you say her name, just saying her name will arouse. But if a person doesn't know her, so the name itself is not going to arouse anything. So that the Chor goes without saying. I don't know what Rav Nachman taught. That's the end of that sugya, and it all came in because how did it come in a long time ago? We haven't had sugya for a long time. Let's just go back to see the last time we had anything highlighted in yellow, and that goes pretty far back. That was when Haman had suggested to Achashverosh to kill the Jews, and the king gave him the ring, and the Gemara went into the point that taking off the ring was more effective in causing the Jews to do tshuva than all of the 48 prophets and 7 prophetesses. But that was a big tangent, and we're ready to go further in the Megillah Esther. And here we are. Mordechai Yada is called Asher Nasa. Mordechai knew everything that was happening. Means he knew what was happening with the plan between Haman and Achashverosh. Mordechai Yada is called Asher Nasa. My Omar. And it says he went on the person continues. He went on the street and he cried out. What did he say when he cried out? What was he crying out? So the Gemara here seems vague. I don't know what. I'm just going to say the translation. I don't know what's behind it. Rav Omar, he said Gava Haman me'Achashverosh, that Haman got even bigger than Achashverosh, that Haman's ideas were even more extreme than that of Achashverosh. It sounds like Achashverosh also had, he wasn't a Jew lover, but Haman is even bigger than that. He even has bigger plans.
Here they have Gaba as even haughtier.
Haughtier? How does Rashi say?
than Haman.
Rashi
Haman
said-
would have the chutzpah to,
Chutzpah, okay, Gaba Libo.
to
Okay.
express it.
Okay, Rashi says, Shemolo Libo Ladaber Mashalo Allah Lev Achashverosh, that he had ideas that even Achashverosh didn't think of. Okay, good. The word Gava means to be higher. And Shmuel says, he says something else. Mordechai said, Gava Malka Ilah Mi Malka Tata. So the literal translation would mean that Melech Elyon, the supreme king, was stronger than the lowly king, Malka Tata, like the king of the earth, the earthly king, which is not what the Gemara means to say. It's a euphemism because whenever it says something which is not respectful, so it says the opposite. And you're supposed to understand that it means to say as if that the earthly king is overpowering the heavenly king, Hashem, which is saying that that there was a gzeira and the koach of evil was doing that which was not the system that Hashem wants. Now, of course, Hashem is in control. That goes without saying. You have to learn das tunas. Whenever it says that something is not going, that means Hashem is giving you. Hashem is letting the leash loose and giving the evil opportunity. So it doesn't mean that anybody's stronger than God, but it means that according to the plan of control, Hashem is letting loose the leash and allowing the evil to go on a, what is the word, a rampage or something like that going on. The pasuk says, "Vatischalchal hamalkod." It says when Esther heard that the Mordechai came in sackcloth and she didn't know what's it all about, so it says "Vatischalchal." That's something, some kind of a shivering, a fear. My vatischalchal. What is that coming to say? Either it means that this caused her to have a menstrual cycle, a mission, and Rabbi Yirmiyah said that it caused her that she had to move.
To be scared.
I think like a chil. Chil usually means trembling. Chil, the word means trembling. Here, but here the Gemara is saying that something about melting. Rashi says lesson of melting. And yes, surely that has to do because of the fear. But the Gemara is saying doesn't just mean fear. It means something had a physical effect, either that she had menstrual blood, or it means that that she had to move her bowels, or whatever it would mean, urinate. That she because of the fear, it caused this physical reaction. The pasuk says, "Vatikru Esther Lasach." So she didn't know why Mordechai is in sackcloth, so she sent a messenger. The messenger's name was Hasach, but it doesn't. We don't know anything about Hasach. He might have been just a messenger. But the Gemara says, "Hasach said Daniel." Hasach is Daniel. Daniel is an old man already. Daniel has been there since the beginning from the Nebuchadnezzar, and he was in the court, and he was high in the court. And here it says that he became a messenger for Esther. But why is his name called Hasach as a nickname to Daniel? So the letter Hey can be sometimes exchanged with a ches. A Hey and a ches are interchangeable. So Chatach means to cut. Means he was cut from his greatness. And even though in the earlier kings by Nebuchadnezzar and then by Belshazzar, we find in Koresh, we find that he was in one of the highest officers. But now he was not anymore under such a high position. He was a messenger for the queen. And the other word also would mean, other pshat is also chatach, but not chatach that he was cut off, but that he made all of the decisions. All of the royal issues were nechtach, and he decreed them. Also, the same word would be chatach, but the cutting doesn't have to mean cutting as being cut down. It can mean that he's the one who decides. It's also in Hebrew, like gzeira, also gazar means to cut, but it means he's the one who decides. So 2 points why he might have been called chasach. She sent Hasach to find out from Mordechai what's happening. What is this all about? So the simple words mean like, what is this all about? What is it and why is it? So this is a drash level that the word mazeh and mazeh sounds like this word mizeh. But that's talking about luchos, and it says that the tablets, they were written on both sides, or it means through and through. So Esther was meant to hint to him, is it because Am Yisrael transgressed the Torah? That was the drash on these words, mazeh and mazeh, that mizeh. So it says that Mordechai said the whole story, that the story about Haman, and that there's a decree against the Jews that they kill everybody. So it says that they came back to Esther, and then Esther said, and Mordechai was saying, go to the king, and Esther said that it's dangerous to go to the king. So it says that Vayagidu leMordechai eis divrei Esther. It doesn't say that Hasach came back. It just says that they doesn't say who. They told Mordechai what Esther had said, and it doesn't say that Hasach. Till now it had said Hasach went, the son came back. Now it doesn't say about Hasach anymore. He didn't go back to tell Mordechai. Why not? Because from here you learn out that you're not supposed to bring back bad news. So it was bad news. The fact that Esther didn't want to go, so Hasach didn't want to be the one to bring that message back, so he didn't. He sent somebody else. And that the Gemara says other places also that you're not supposed to be the bearer of bad news. Sometimes if you have to, so you have to try to say it in a hint. Don't say bad news. So Esther, then Mordechai.
I'm just thinking of application on that. Let's say this happens sometime. I speak to someone, and I want to know if there's a guy who would be 90 now, if he's still alive. So I shouldn't ask the person, this guy's still alive?
You can ask if he's alive.
And what's
he going to answer? So you can say he was alive. That's what the Gemara does sometimes. When the Gemara has to say an answer. So that's good. That's considered. Okay, that's considered.
If I say someone died yesterday, that's bad news. I'm saying.
The Gemara says that case. The Gemara talks about Rav here. The Gemara talks about. So it talks about even if time ago he didn't know about it, but he says he was alive, something like that, or somebody else is alive. That's what that Gemara does. The Gemara says it in a way that you'll get the hint, but don't say it beferish. That's what
sometimes people don't. They're silent. The silence implies.
Okay.
Who else could have trusted to be sending these messages? Isn't this openly saying who she is?
Since it was Daniel, if he was in the government also.
Sense, but,
the question is a good question, and the question is even strong that didn't they know that she was found in Mordechai's house? Like, isn't that enough to think that she was Jewish? So I don't know. The fact that Daniel was the go-between, would that be a reason to think that she was Jewish? I don't know.
If it wasn't Daniel, then who would they be trusting to be?
But whoever Esther's messenger was, she was a queen. She had a messenger. Why should he be? No, he went. She sent him Mordechai.
That's the question.
I'm not sure what you're coming to answer.
Did you ask why Daniel didn't know she's Jewish?
No. The people should have known that she's. Achashverosh should have known that she's Jewish. If Daniel is the go-between. The person continues that after Esther agreed, Mordechai said she should go, and then Esther said, "I'm going to go, but gather all the Jews and make a fast for 3 days and 3 nights. And I'm going to go to the king Shelo Kadas." It's the word "ad" is not in the pasuk. "Ad" just means continue the pasuk until Shelo Kadas. I'm going to go to the king, not according to the law. Means even though the law would not allow me to go, but I'm going to go. Amar Rabbi Abba Shelo Kadas. Shell, what's the word over here? Dalit. I'm missing the Dalit here. What do they want to add on? Dalit. Shalokidas kol yom v'yom. Not how it has been until now. I'm going to go not according to the way that it's been till now. Why? Shebachol yom v'yom ad achshav bonus. Until now, I've been going to Achashverosh against my will, but now I'm going willingly. And that the Gemara continues that now she's not going to be mutter to Mordechai anymore. They had the Gemara before that after she would have relations with Achashverosh, she still would go home to Mordechai and have relations with him. It says she went to the mikveh first in order to get rid of the disgust that she had been together with Achashverosh. But now, and that's considered bonus. But now she's going to go. She's going willingly. So then she'd become usher to Mordechai. This is, to me, I don't understand, because this is also called bonus. She's not going because she wants to. She's going in order to save Am Yisrael. And the Gemara is going to say this, and Amud Beis soon. So I don't understand why this is called Biratzon. I'm sorry? I don't know it. Okay. Is it long or short? Okay, that's it. The chiddush is that this is called Biratzon, even though she's willing, she herself is knocking on the door to Achashverosh, and that means also that there'll be relations, but that doesn't mean necessarily that she wants to do it. She's doing it in order to save Am Yisrael. Why is that called Biratzon? So Avraham said that Rabbi Chanan Vassman speaks about it. We'll hear later. And then she continues, V'chasher avarati avarati, just like...
Sorry,
yes.
Rebbe, wouldn't she simply have to give up her life?
I'm not following the question.
Give up her life rather than go forward with Achashverosh?
No. It's called. It talks about that a woman is called Karka Olam. It's called passive, so it's not Yog Val Yavar. Also by a goy, I think also that it's not Yog Val Yavar by a goy. I don't know the details, but I don't think so. The pasuk continues, "V'chasher avarati avarati," just like I am lost, I'm lost. Like I'm lost, I'm going to give up. The pasuk of the pasuk means that they might kill me if she goes into the inner courtyard without permission. So they might kill her. So if I'm lost, I'm lost. Like I'm taking a chance that I might die. But now the Gemara is saying it rash based on what we just said, that now she's going to Achashverosh willingly. Kishem shavarati mi beisavo kach obad mimcha. Just like I've been lost from my father's home. That means, I guess, that she was taken to the queen to be the queen, and she doesn't want to be over there. She's not in her father's home. But so too, Ovad Mimcha, and Rashi says, because I'm going to be ushered to you now, because now I'm going willingly. And Bas Yisrael, who has relations with a goy, here it says even a goy, not only kind of be a sis, even with a goy, if she has relations, she becomes ushered to her husband. Bas Eishes Kohen, it becomes us even if it's bonus, even if it was not her fault. But the wife of Israel is mutter only if she did it willingly, and this is considered willingly. And Damat Bey is going to say something. I think that this is not so simply called willingly, but I'm just asking it as a question. The person,
Why goy? Why not another yid?
also true. The din is true by a Jew also, that if someone has relations with another person, a guy might be different, but I'm saying that a guy is also, it says over here that she becomes usher to her husband. It's true. If a married woman has relations with somebody, she becomes usher to her husband. True. The pasuk says, "Vayavor Mordechai passed." The pasuk itself needs explanation. What does it mean, Mordechai passed? Yavor Mordechai, and he did everything as instructed. What did he do? The word Vayavor means like he transgressed. What did he transgress? That he made that people should fast on the first day of Pesach, because it comes out that the 3 days of fasting falls out on Pesach. The decree of Haman was on the 13th of Nisan, and then they made a fair right away. They made this discussion, Mordechai and Esther, and then the fast was going to be the 14th, the 15th, and the 16th. That means that they fasted on the first day of Pesach, and you're not allowed to fast on Pesach. So the fact that he decreed a fast and overrode the halacha that you're not supposed to fast on Pesach, that's considered that he transgressed. Agav, they're not going to eat matzah also, but here it says because they fasted.
Because it's a Yom Tov?
Yes, because it's the Yom Tov, so you're not allowed to fast. On Shabbos, you're not allowed to fast, and he made a fast day on the 14th, Erev Pesach, and the 15th, and the 16th.
Why did he fast? I thought this was at the command of Esther, so why didn't it say she transgressed?
No, it says that everybody should fast. Shushan. It says, because
he gave the edict, because he didn't eat.
Everybody didn't eat. Everybody. He followed Esther's instructions, and he said nobody should eat for 3 days, and that means he and Esther and everybody. And even came. Esther fasted for 3 days. Mordechai, all the Jews of Shushan. So he transgressed the halacha that you're not supposed to fast. Not that he didn't have Avera, but this means this overrode the halacha they're not supposed to fast on a Yom Tov, and he did. Different shot. What is they passed? It doesn't mean transgress. It means pass. What did he pass? He passed over some kind of a brook, a river, in order to go. Rashi says to the other side, in order to inform the people on the other side of the river. So he passed over. So like a simple shot, not the first shot, which is more on a drash level. He transgressed. He made an exception to the rule, and he passed it on Pesach, but that he passed over to the other side of the river. The pasuk says, "Maybe how much she but Malchus." We had this a couple of times already. So big day Malchus mi boile. You should have said that she wore royalty. So it should have she wore royal clothing. It's missing the word clothing. It's understood that if she says she wore royalty, that means that she wore royal clothing, but it's missing that word. Big day Malchus mi boile. You should have said Batal Bashes that big day Malchus. Rabbi Lazar, Rabbi Chanina, Malamed Shelav Shata Ruach HaKodesh. It's coming to hint that she clothed herself with prophecy, and this is the way the Gemara learned out before that she was a prophetess. This was the drush before. That was the drush we said yesterday. The word Lavisha, and over there also we just said that the pasuk pshat in that pasuk over there in Divrei Hayam and Ruach Lavsha Samasai. The simple pshat over there doesn't either mean Ruach HaKodesh. It means some kind of a spirit, a ratzon, a will. But the more is mentioning that the word Ruach means Ruach HaKodesh, and just like over there it says the word Lavsha, and that means Ruach HaKodesh. Here too, she had Ruach HaKodesh, and that's the source the Gemara brought before, that Esther was a prophetess. Now we go on a cruise. Since we got Rabbi Lazar, Rabbi Lazar, and Rabbi Chanina. So this is the name. Here's the name. Rabbi Lazar, and Rabbi Chanina. So now we're going to go on a cruise of Rabbi Lazar, and Rabbi Chanina. So we're going off the subject, and we'll get back. I'll put it on green just to show that we're not in the megillah now. We're going on a side track, a tangent. Rabbi Lazar, and Rabbi Chanina. That's going to be all these. Rabbi Lazar, Rabbi Chanina. A couple of them coming up. 4 or 5. We'll count as we go along. The blessing of even a commoner should not be light in your eyes. You should take a blessing seriously, even if it's a common person, a simple person. Not only a bracha from a great person, even a bracha from a simple person also shouldn't be light. Because 2 great people, they were blessed by 2 simple people. We're going to see the 2 simple people are even goyim. and their blessing was fulfilled. So even a simple blessing, a simple person's blessing is also worthwhile. David and Daniel break Kedolei Olam, Kedolei Ador, and they were blessed by Goyim, by Hediotos, and their blessing was fulfilled. David, the Barchi Aravna. Aravna was the owner of the Harabais, and David over there, Hashem told him that over there that's going to be the place where you should build a mizbeach, and over there it says it doesn't say the rest over here, but it should say Hashem the main thing is that said it over here. Hashem Hashem your God should favor you. You should be accepted by God. So that bracha, the Gemara says that it was a bracha from a Ravna who was a goy, and it was fulfilled in David. And in another case, you see that Daniel, the Barchi the Yabash. The Yabash was the king, and over there the ministers they framed Daniel that he should be thrown into the pit, into the den of lions, and Yabash was very upset, but he wasn't able to stop the ministers. And over there it says before they sealed the den of lions, it says, your God, who you constantly serve him, should save you. And he gave him the blessing, he should be safe from the lions, and you see him safe from the lions. And the Gemara attributes it to the bracha. Of course, Daniel had his own zchuyot also, but the fact that the pasuk says the bracha, and it says he was saved, so the Gemara says that you see that his blessing was fulfilled. So we should learn from that if a commoner blesses us also, we should take it as a valuable. The cruise continues. On the opposite, the other side of the coin, that a curse of a commoner should also not be light in your eyes. Here again, it's going to be even a goy. Avimelech, the king of the Plishtim, he cursed Sarah. He knew that's when he had taken Sarah, and then Hashem caused that he should have all kinds of problems in his household, and then he gave her back. So in the Pashup Shot, it means that I'm giving 1,000 silver to your brother, to Avram, and that should be covering up the eyes, means it should be excusing, and it should don't take it bad, whatever was done. But the Gemara says that the Ksuf Sainayim sounds the covering of your eyes means that someone should be blinded. So even though he didn't say it outright, but he meant to give a curse that someone should be blinded over there. And you do see that in her children, someone was blind. And it's kind of bizarre, and that curse was fulfilled in her children. What does it say? When Yitzchak was old, so then his eyes became weak. So you see that even a curse of a goy also should be not taken lightly. The cruise continues. Come and see that Hashem's attributes are not like that of humans. If you want to put water in pot, first you have to then put water into the pot. Hashem, he has the water holding, and then he puts the pot. So I don't know what the pasuk talks that Hashem gives huge amounts of water in the heavens. And as if to say, I think the Pashup has something to do with the clouds. And that would mean that Hashem suspends the clouds, he could say without any pot. The Gemara sometimes looks at the clouds as some kind of a container for the water, but as we could take it to mean that the fact that Hashem suspends the water in midair doesn't need a pot. So that's different than humans. The next point, this is already the fourth one of the cruise. This is famous from Pirkei Avos.
It's the same Tana it says over there in Pirkei.
So he's not a Tana. That's why I'm surprised. Abulazar Rabbi Chanin is not a Tana. So I don't recall who says it in Pirkei Avos. We can look it up. It says in the side, Perik Vav, Mishnah Vav. Perik Vav is already, so right. So it's not Mishnayos, by the way. It's Brisas, and maybe some Gemaras get in over there also. So Rabbi Vav is looking it up to see who it says in Pirkei Avos. 6:6, Perik Vav, Mishnah Vav. And it's not the Mishnah. It's really, as we said, the Pirkei Avos only has 5 prakim. The 6th one is called Kinyan Torah. It's added on, the meaning to say before Shavuos. So we'll go further. Meanwhile, whoever says something in the name of its speaker, its author, causes redemption to the world. What do you see? That the whole redemption of the story of Megillah Esther only happened because Esther had told the king about Bigsan and Seresh in the name of Mordechai. If it wouldn't have been in the name of Mordechai, then it wouldn't have finished out the way that it did.
Oh.
So the fact that she said the story to the Echashverosh in the beginning, that Mordechai is the one who told me about Bigsan and Seresh, that brought about the whole Gula.
Doesn't say anything.
It doesn't say a name at all.
No, but
So like,
in Pirkei Avos,
Maharsha
it-
here says that it was those are brises in Pirkei Avos.
right,
Okay.
okay. Said.
And that is, so he's saying, the Maharsha is saying that Rebbe Chan, he wasn't obligated to know every brisa.
Very nice.
So he
You
just
just
didn't know
answered
it.
preempted
Okay.
my question. I was about
Okay.
to ask, why is he saying this? It says
If it's already in Pirkei
right,
Avos. Okay.
Already
Good. The Gemara continues on the cruise. When a tzaddik perishes, it's perished for the generation. Means the generation is one who loses out. He doesn't lose out. If he dies, his time was up, and he whatever reward he's going to get, he's in the world of reward, and he's not losing out, but the generation is losing out. The comparison will be to someone who lost a pearl. Wherever the pearl is, it is. Who's the one who's losing out? The owner. The owner doesn't have it, but it doesn't lose out. So too. Tzaddik Abad L'Doro Abad. If it's when the tzaddik perishes, it's for a generation that got lost. That was all the cruise about Amar Belazar Rebbe Chanina, and it came in because he's the one who told us that Esther had Ruach HaKodesh because it says Batul Bash Esther Malchus, and we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bonuses in the name of Belazar Rebbe Chanina, and one line up from the bottom up to the Megillah Esther again. That's when Haman said, after he saw that Mordechai was not bowing down, so even though he already had planned to kill him and the decree was out again, but again he saw that Mordechai was not bowing down, so nothing is worth. It's not worth anything if Mordechai is not bowing down. It also happens to be Amr Abulaz Rebbe Chanina. We're back in the Megillah, and just to point out, we're going to have more Amr Abulaz Rebbe Chaninas coming up. So we're not over with the cruise, but this cruise happens to come back to the Megillah Sester also. So this is also Rabbi Elazar Rebbe Chanina. So it's really like a question. Just because Mordechai is sitting there, so nothing's worth it. He's a prime minister and he has everything. And Kvod Shro V'Robanav, he was wealthy. He was a prime minister and he had a big family. And all nothing because Mordechai is not bowing down. The more answers Kedei Rav Chisda. Rav Chisda Zebab Prus Buli Zebab Prus Buti. We turn a page, and that means Rashi said the Gemara is going to say. Rashi says that Mordechai came as the wealthy one, and Haman was the poor one. And the Gemara says, or that the Midrashim say that Haman had sold himself as a slave to Mordechai in earlier years. Rashi says someplace here. Rashi, let's look at Rashi in Amud Aleph. He says that Shemochar Haman esat small to Mordechai kodem l'chein yomim rabim b'kikal lechem. That some story had happened earlier that Haman had sold himself to Mordechai as a slave for a loaf of bread.
That's when they were in war and fighting.
So here it doesn't say. Here it doesn't say all that. The word says this point. It doesn't say the whole story. It might be in Midrashim. Here it doesn't say. They say put in some word here, but they told me the nama that he was. They called him a slave who was sold for a loaf of bread. The pasuk says also the Bach takes out the next couple of lines. I don't know why. The Bach is not. I don't know why it takes it out. But the Gemara says everything is not here. The Gemara is going to emphasize the word zeh. All this is not worth to me. The fact that it says all this is not worth to me. So he had a big estate. So what does it mean? All this is not worth to me. So kol zeh means that he had all of his treasures engraved on his heart. I don't know if that means something that represents his whole estate, or that it was a big stuff, precious stone. I don't know what it means, but he had all of that engraved on his heart, and maybe his cheshbonos of how much he owns. I don't know. But when he saw Mordechai, he said, "Kol zeh, kol zeh." The fact that it said zeh, this is not worth to me. Nothing of my good is worth it if Mordechai is not bowing down. The Bach takes all that out. I don't know why. The Gemara continues back on the cruise about Rabbi Elazar and Rabbi Chanina. In the future, Hashem is going to be a crown on the head of every tzaddik. Whatever the crown means, but it means some great perception. Hashem is going to be the crown on the head of each tzaddik. It's going to dash in the pasuk now, and I just highlighted in green the pasuk, and then the Gemara is going to dash in as we go along. It says Bayom Mahu. Let's just read the pasuk first, and then we'll go back and interject all the drushes. It says Bayom Mahu Yeh Hashem Tzvaos La'ateret Tzfiras Tifara L'Shar Amo U'Leruach Mishpat. That's the pasuk. And now the Gemara is going to darshan. So Hashem is going to be on that day, Teres Tzvi. That Tzvi means something delightful, beloved, wanted. So Hashem is going to be a beloved crown. And Tzfiras Tifara. The word Tzfira also means like a crown, something which is wrapped around. So in the Pashup Pshat, it means both of them mean like a crown of glory. But why does the Gemara dashin on that? La'osin sivyono ulumetzapin tifrato. So Teres Tzvi, the Gemara dashins the word Tzvi to those who do Hashem's will. The word Sivyon also means will to those who do Hashem's will. Hashem is going to be a crown to those who did His will, and to those people who hope for His glory. The people are waiting that there should be the days when Mashiach will come and there'll be the glory of Hashem and all the Avodah Zarah will be discarded. Everyone will realize the truth. That's those who are hoping for the glory of Hashem. Yochal hakol, you think does it mean everybody? No, only for the remnant. What does that mean, the remnant? He who makes himself like leftovers, which means people that are humble. People that are not humble are not going to be eligible for that. The pasuk says also l'ruach mishpat, and Hashem is going to be, the simple pshat is that Hashem is going to be a spirit of spirit of justice. But the Gemara is talking about, it's talking about the people. Adonis Yitzro, the person who's able to judge his inclination, and I guess it means that he has a good judgment of his inclination. If it's a good inclination, a bad inclination, he's able to understand his inclinations and not to be, what's the word when somebody justifies himself? And he's able to judge his inclination. People who sit on judgment, what does that mean? The judges who judge truthfully.
Don't compromise.
What?
Don't compromise.
They don't compromise, and they do the actual truth. Sometimes the enforcement say that even when technically the proof is there, but the judge knows something's fishy, that's called done den emes lamito. Like it's emes lamito. What does it mean? Emes is emes, and it's emes lamito. There's truth, and there's truth to the truth. That means that even though technically you pass by, you have all the documents, but he sees something's fishy, he doesn't go for it. He keeps on going until he finds the truth of the truth. The ligvura, and what's the Rashi about that? Zamas Gabriel Yisro, somebody who's overpowers his Yetzer Hara, that he's able to conquer his inclination. The inclination says to do something, he knows that it's not the right thing, he overpowers the inclination. The next pasuk says, Meshivei Mulchama, Shara. So the pasuk is that he's able to return the war until the gate. It means he pushes back the enemy until they have to run away into their gate. But the Drash is going to be Meshivei Mulchama, Shenosim Venosim Mulcham Teshal Torah. They're able to war in the war of Torah. It means the debates. When you debate something, it's called a war. You come into a Smedish, everyone's fighting. People are not used to that. They think there's a fight going on, but it's but the people that are used to it, so they understand that there's a debate. Everyone when it gets to the truth, there might be loud voices, but everyone is coming to discuss the truth, and that's called the war of Torah. Of course, everyone's supposed to have good midos and no calling everybody names, but it means in the discussion, in the actual debate. So sometimes it gets a heated debate. It doesn't have to be dafka heated. It means the Mulcham Teshal Torah means that there's a debate. You have to go back and forth. You're playing chess. And it can be quiet also, but you're putting all of your concentration, and there's a war going on. Each one taking the different position. What's the truth? So everyone wants to get to the truth, but in order to get to the truth, you have a debate. And the last word is sha'ara, which means to the gate. What is the gate in the drash? The gates of the shuls, the gates of the study halls. These people are the ones that are going to merit to Hashem will be the crown on their head. The pasuk continues over there. And the Gemara is going to dash in that also. Why are these different than these? Means that why are the Jews better than the nations? And they're going to be, for them, you're going to be a crown of glory. Because the Jews learned Torah and the nations did not. And that's the reason why the Jews are going to be rewarded and the nations not. The next words, I guess, the way we have the Gemara is very difficult and it's very not usual. In our Gemara it says Amalei. That means that Midas Adin is speaking to Hashem. There's a Midas Adin, the one who is demanding justice, and the justice comes and says that why are the Jews better than the Goyim? So far Hashem answered because the Jews learn Torah and the Goyim don't. In our Gemara it says Amalei. That means that the attribute of justice spoke up back and said that the Jews are also not good. They also became drunk in wine and they went astray. And what does that mean? Which the Gemara seems to be dashing that they also go to Gehenna. And the Gemara proves that the pasuk Paku is referring to Gehenna, as you find by Avigai a couple of people that don't kill Naval because it shouldn't be for you a Michshol. So the word Puka means a Michshol. The Gemara is translating that as Gehenna. Don't go to Gehenna. And Plila means judges. which would mean you find the word b'flilim is referring to the judges. So the judgment says they also should go to Gehenna. End of Gemara. At this, if you read the Gemara like this, it's in fact, no such Gemara, that the Gemara says that the Jews are just as bad as the Goyim, and they also go to Gehenna. End of story. The curtain goes down. So you never find such a Gemara. So the secret to this Gemara is that this word is a mistake. This word lay, second wide line, this word lay is a mistake. And it's not that Midas Adin is talking, as Hashem continues talking and says, no, that also what the Goyim had done was also, they're the ones who are going to Gehenna. And it's not going back that the Midas Adin has the last word. The way you read the Gemara now here, it sounds like the Midas Adin has the last word, and Hashem was quiet. But this is a mistake. The word in all the Tfusim and all of the old editions, it didn't have this word. This word got in by mistake. Because Baruch Hu continues talking, it says that
not to the attribute of
not that the attribute of justice is talking to Hashem, but Hashem is talking, and Hashem has the last word. Hashem says that the Jews learn Torah and the Goyim did not. Of course, it means doing Torah also, doesn't mean learning it, and all the things that it said before, all these great things that it said. So this word is a very critical word. Does what does everybody say?
Arshel says the Holy One Blessed One says to the attribute of justice.
Very nice. You're right. Something's wrong over here, and I think that did they bring any shot differently than I said? If they said like I said, so okay, very good. Okay, the Gemara continues back into Megillah Esther. First wide line. She came into the inner courtyard. Just to the push around the Megillah, it says the whole time whenever somebody came to the courtyard of the king, it says that they came to the Chatzar Beis HaMelech HaChitzona. Always would say, come to the outer courtyard. And by Esther, the whole point was she went in and she was most in effort to go into the inner courtyard. And you weren't allowed to go. That was making a big statement. Like that's why Achashverosh was all impressed that she's coming into the inner courtyard without permission. When somebody else wanted to come in, like Haman, so he stayed in the outer courtyard. And they said, who is it? And he said, it's Haman. And the chamber Lynn, I guess his name is, he came in, chamber boy, and he told Achashverosh, someone's waiting for you. Could he come in? He said, yes, come in. But Esther, the whole point was she went into the inner courtyard. When she came, she passed by a place where there was idols, so then the Shekhinah left her. So before it said that she had Ruach HaKodesh, but then when she came to the place of the idols, so then the Shekhinah left her. This is the famous Tehillim 22 that is attributed to Esther, and she said to God, why did you forsake me? The fact that I came because and there's here that Slomim over here, the Avodah Zarah Shema Tadan Al Shogeg Kemezid Balonos Kirosan. Are you judging unintentional like intentional, and someone who's forced like someone who did it willingly? That means the fact that I'm coming is not because I want to. Here it sounds a little bit like the Slomim over here, but the Avodah Zarah was the issue. But also you could talk about the fact that she's coming to Achashverosh willingly, which the Gemara said in Amar Aleph that now she says that now I'm going to be lost from Mordechai because I'm coming willingly. And here she says, I'm an honest. This Gemara, I think, maybe has to be reconciled with the Gemara before. Rashi over here says that I'm coming against my will. May lie, even though I'm coming on my own, he's not calling me, but it's also called an onus. Here the Gemara says it's called an onus. The fact that she had to come to Achashverosh, so I don't know how to reconcile that with the Gemara in Aleph that says she's considered
Maybe she
Ratzah.
got the message from Mordechai that even though you're in doubt about coming, you're doing it because there's no option.
And it's still called onus. So the Gemara doesn't say that. Okay, but it doesn't say that. The Gemara doesn't have that. Okay, but we're missing it. Like the Gemara just says before, it says that it's a Ratzon. Here it says that it's an onus. I think it needs someone should talk about it. What does he say? They don't say. Look over there.
That even though it was Ba'ones,
yes,
the fact that the act itself made her. I don't know. I don't understand. He's saying the act itself was willingly, and
therefore she's also their husband. But but as far as God, she's not held responsible because she did what she's supposed to do. Oh, Shamal Shekros of Caleb. Maybe the reason why the Ruach HaKodesh left is because she called Achashverosh a dog. Now, she didn't call him to her face a dog, but it says, save me from the dog. That's over there in Mizmor 22. Save me from the sword, save my soul from the dog. So, which the dog? So it's poetic, but she's calling the king a dog. Maybe you're not supposed to do that. So she retracted. Also, Aryeh, she called him a lion, and that's also over there in the pasuk in Tehillim 22. Save me from the lion. So he's a lion, he's also dangerous, But instead of calling him a dog, it's more honorable to call him a lion. So that's the Gemara on this point, that she lost the Ruach HaKodesh, and she was wondering what the reason might be, and maybe she thought because she had called to refer to him as a dog, so she referred to him as a lion.
But in Tehillim it says both, right?
Yes, first the dog, and then it says
first the dog and
right.
then a lion.
So that might be the reason that she changed. Just a little point that the Gemara doesn't say, but I saw this, I think, in Avedram. Hatzila, this is Hatzila, Mecherev Nafshi. The first letter of each word is Haman. Hatzila, Mecherev Nafshi. Hey, not that the Gemara says that. The Gemara is talking about, it could be that Kelev Echidasi is going to be Achashverosh, but Hatzila, Mecherev Nafshi maybe is a nice remez that is talking about Haman. Okay, it says further in the pasuk, Vayehi. When the king saw Esther, so she found favor in his eyes, and she said he stretched out the scepter, which was the sign that she's not to be killed. 3 angels came at that time in order to save her. One that picked up her neck. She probably had a fallen face, and the Malach picked up her face, and probably Achashverosh should see her, and she'll find favor in his eyes. The other one made that she should find favor in the eyes of Achashverosh. I mean, Chushal Chesed is the same thing the Gemara said earlier, even though she was Yirakrokas, even though she wasn't beautiful, but she found kindness in those who beheld her. So that made that Achashverosh should find favor in the eyes of Achashverosh. And the third one, that one of them that stretched the scepter until Esther. So even though it wasn't long enough to reach Esther, and also would have been enough probably that the scepter was stretched out to her, that probably would be enough also to be a sign that she's not to be killed. But Hashem made a miracle that the scepter was stretched until it reached, as Vatiga B'Rosh HaShavit, that she touched the Shavit, and that was the sign that she was accepted by Achashverosh. How much was the miracle that the scepter got stretched out? Originally it was 2 amos long, about a meter. And then it got stretched to be either 12 amos or 16 amos or 24 amos, different opinions. The Masisa Tana al Shishim, there's a price that says even 60 amos. So we have either 12, 16, 24, or 60. The same thing you find that the arm of Paro, it's not the Pashup Pshat, the Abbas Paro. The Pashup Pshat and the Pasuk means she sent her Shifcha, the word Amasa, to get she saw the basket with the baby inside. So she sent her Amasa, which Pashup means her maidservant. But the Gemara says at Rash that it means her arm. And again, Pashup Pshat, even according to that, it means she stretched her arm and she reached out for it. But the Gemara says that it was much further than she could reach. And it got stretched out. The same thing is going to be either, it doesn't say how much, 12 to 16, whatever it might be. And also by the Shinei Rishon. So that's the story about, I think, not to be taken at face value, but the story, the way the Gemara says it is, that Og, Melech HaBashim, wanted to throw a mountain on Am Yisrael, and he picked up this mountain, which was, I think it says 12 parsa, 12 mil, 3 parsa. And he picked it over his head, and Hashem caused that it should fall onto his head, and he wasn't able to take it off because his teeth grew into it. I don't think it's to be taken literally, but whatever the message is, the esoteric message. So there it says also that his teeth elongated; they got stretched out. The word shibarta means to break. You broke the teeth of the Russia. Simple pshat. But the Gemara says ribavta means to stretch. So we see by all of these 3 cases, the scepter of Achashverosh, and the arm of the daughter of Paro, and the teeth of Og.
Was the teeth of Og, is that where it got stuck in the ground?
Stuck in the mountain. The mountain was over his head. He got
stuck in the mountain.
And the ants came and ate away at it, and it fell onto his head, and then his teeth grew that he shouldn't be able to take it off his head. And then Moshe came and jumped up and hit his ankle, and then he died. Right. So all these things, right? How much did his teeth grow? So all that, I think, is not to be taken at face value. It's a remez, but in the remez it says that his teeth stretched. One more opinion that it was 200 amas. We had that it was either 12, 16, 24, 60, and there's another opinion, 200.
is all Masada or?
I think it's all. I think that it's not to be taken literally. I think it's all esoteric and some kind of remusm and all of these different numbers. And till we find out what it means, we just review it 40 times, and we'll find out either in this world or the next. But if we don't learn it in this world, we're not going to find out in the world in the next. You have to at least know the text. That when they explain it, and Mr. Deverkir will know what they're talking about. And someone's going to be sitting over there and say, what is he talking about? Said, you didn't learn Megillah, daf 15. Okay. The Gemara continues. Last time I'll come. I think the pasuk is not exactly the way it says it. That when she came in and Achashverosh realized that she's coming emergency, that she came into the inner courtyard. So he said, what is it that you want? Until half the kingdom. But that's interesting. Only half the kingdom. Chatzia Malchus will call Malchus. That goes without saying, not the whole kingdom. But the main rush is, I think even there's some take it out. It's better to take it out. These words you can take out. These will call Malchus you can take out. Chatzia Malchus v'lo davar shechotzeis l'Malchus. The kingdom, half the kingdom, but not the thing that is dividing the kingdom. That don't ask for the Beis Hamikdash to be rebuilt. Of course, in the Pshat, he didn't know that she's Jewish even. But the point is to say that this thing he wouldn't give in. And why is it called Davar HaChotzeitz? So Rashi says that Beis Hamikdash is the center of the world. Here's Rashi on the right side. Shebe'emsa shalolam. It says Even Shestiya Shemenesh Olam. The stone of which the Aron was on top of was the whole world was founded on that. So the Beis Hamikdash is called the center of the world. So that's why it's called Chotzeis, like the thing which divides the whole world. That's the center. So don't ask for the Beis Hamikdash, because this thing he wasn't willing to agree to. He's the one who had stopped it. The pasuk says that he had stopped the building of the Beis Hamikdash, and he didn't allow it to be built. Even if Esther would ask for that, he wasn't going to say it. Again, it's a drash level I don't think taken as a pshat. So what did Esther ask for? Yavo hamelech v'amon ela mishteh. So she asked that the king and Haman should come to a banquet that she had prepared, and then she asked for come to the second day again. So the question is, why did she make this banquet? What's the banquet all about? Tana Rabbanan, my boss says that Shazimna someone.
Very interesting.
Yes.
The Tana Rabbanan is after. Usually you quote a pasuk and then you dash. Yeah, you quote a pasuk, Tana Rabbanan. Then
The Tana Rabbanan is going to be the explanation of the pasuk.
Yeah, I'd say that's the usual way of doing it. Usually you have a pasuk.
I think because we're going on the order, it's not Stam that we're bringing down a brisa. We're going on the order of the psukim. All these yellow highlights are on the psukim. So this is the pasuk we're going to dash now, and we have a brisa. Tana Rabbanan, my boss Esther Shazimna someone. Why? What was her plan? Why did she invite Haman to the party? What did she want with that? So the Gemara is going to say many reasons about how much 10. About 11 or 12. I think I wrote down 12 reasons, and everyone's suggesting a different possibility. She set a trap for him. Pasuk says that the table should be for them a trap, and that means that when by a banquet, that's a good place that there should be a trap for someone. That's a dangerous thing, and the pasuk says that the table is the trap. So since you find such a pasuk, where's the pasuk? It says in Tehillim on the side. So that's one way to trap. What's going to happen exactly? She didn't know. But a table, a banquet is a trap sometimes for the evil. She learned it from her father's home. So what is a father's home here? This I didn't get so well. And it says on the side again, this is a pasuk in Mishlei, and Mishlei would be Shlomo Melech, and that's not the father of Esther. So what does it mean by Beis Avi Alamda? I don't know. Rashi over here says, Shama Tinokos Omimkin. She heard the children saying that. She heard it from her father's house that the kids would say the pasuk that it says in Mishlei. Nothing to do with the author of Mishlei, but the kids. So Rashi's come to answer the problem that Shlomo Melech is not from her father. It's not her father's household. So Rashi says a suggestion that she heard the kids saying so. But it sounds a little.
It's a right to Zilliman.
That the kids know psukim in.
That you hear the kids singing by heart.
But I would still.
What does it mean? She
learned from her family the following pasuk that says that if your enemy is hungry, so give him bread because you are stirring coals on his head. So it means that it's a good way to stir coals on your enemy's head by giving him a meal.
Are you calling that a second reason? No?
That's the second. Yeah.
Mordechai couldn't have been considered her father since they raised her as well. I don't see why we have to go to kids.
But then there's nothing. Yeah, but still, it doesn't have to do so much with the Mishlei. It would say she learned from Mordechai, and Mordechai said over the pasuk. It's a little bit strange. Usually, when the Gemara says such a thing from her father, it'll bring that an ancestor said it. But here, it doesn't mean that. So it's a bit not usual. I'd like to find a pshat that I didn't look into it. I just was surprised by Rashi's pshat. The third one, in order that he shouldn't, meanwhile, make a scheme and rebel against. He might become independent. Right now, he's going together with Achashverosh. Maybe he's going to rebel, and he's going to make his own party and political party, and he's not going to be together with. He'll overthrow Achashverosh. He was getting too powerful. So better that he should be on good terms with Achashverosh and keep it quiet until the trap is set. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, that they shouldn't realize that she's Jewish, because the fact that she's inviting Haman, so then it looks less and less that she's Jewish, so it shouldn't work against her if they find out that she's Jewish. Then if Haman would know that she's Jewish, he wouldn't be able to do all this, and he would have planned other ways in order to circumvent her. In order that very interesting, that the Jews should not trust that they have somebody in the government. If the Jews knew that Esther was Jewish, so if they know that, so maybe they'll take it lightly that Esther will take care of them. They have government connections. But if they see that even Esther is also betraying them, they're going to daven to Hashem.
You find that on the other hand, you always find that it's always nice to tell someone something, in a good situation and calm them down earlier. So
okay, but here the point was that they should, here the chash was that they're going to trust in her and not in Hashem. I'm not saying
people might stop that when you tell them situations.
Okay, I don't know how to judge this. So know that he should be available. The fact that he'll be around near her, that she'll be able to find some problem with him. She didn't know what's going to happen, but maybe the fact that he'll be around, he'll do something wrong in front of the king. It's nice that it's not that nice. It's dangerous. It's dangerous to be in the king's presence and the queen's presence. They might do something wrong. Maybe she'll be able to find something to make him fall. What is that?
The tefillah of tik.
I'm not familiar. You
want to make a tik, you try to find reasons to.
Maybe Hashem will see, will feel, and do a miracle. So Rashi has two pshatim over here. I don't understand either one. Rashi on the top of the next column says that even I have to be Makarev the enemies. If Hashem will see that even I have to lower myself to Rashi says two things. Inami, that I have to be flattering the Russia and to be mizalzel my kavod. Either Hashem will see that I'm close to the Russia, or Hashem will see that I have to lower myself to become close to flatter him. So the question on this pshat is that Hashem knows what she's thinking. Everybody else, all that pshatim, that the Jews should think, that the Achashverosh should think, Haman should think, but that Hashem should think. Hashem knows what she's thinking. You can't make a plan to tell Hashem that Hashem should see that I have to flatter myself. That's not the reason. You don't have to flatter him. You're doing it to know that I should think so. So you can't. That's the kasha that my father used to ask this. Each poor me used to ask this question. I never got an answer.
She has to do it regardless. She has to invite him when she doesn't want to.
Okay, so that's not. Then it's not another reason. It's not saying maybe Hashem will see. If you say yes, she has to do it. So that's the reason she has to do it.
Well, she doesn't have to. She could have asked the king without Haman being there.
Okay, so then she doesn't have to. So why does she do it for? Know that Hashem should see and have Rahman. That even I have to do it. You have to do it. You don't have to do it. Like you can't fool Hashem. So I don't have clarity on that one. That she was willing even that she should get killed together with Haman. Maybe Achashverosh will see that she's close to Haman and he's not going to like that. He might kill both of them. He's just, okay, I'll die and he'll die. That's good also. That he was a shaky king, like Hafuch. That even though he says one thing, so if she's going to get Achashverosh convinced to kill Haman, she wants him to be right there. That he's able to carry it right away. If it's going to be till you have to call him from his house, something might happen till then. He might change his mind. Rabbi Gamliel says the one who said the last reason just now, and he says we still need the Modai. Who's the Modai? The one from Modian. The Tanya Modai Omer Kinato b'melech Kinato b'sarim. She wanted to make the king jealous of him. She wanted to make the officers jealous of him. That she had the plan to make Achashverosh jealous. Rabbi Amar, two more reasons coming in.
The king
Jealous. She made of Haman. Is that what she says? No, Rashi.
And made the other nobles jealous of
also, both of them, the king and the noble should be jealous of Haman. That's not good for Haman. Yeah. So she caused that people should be jealous of him. Rabbi Amar lefnei shever gaon. The pasuk says before the breakage is greatness. So she wants him to fall. So it's good that he should go up high. The higher they are, how does it go? The harder they fall. Mm-hmm. So she wanted him to be up high, and then their fall is going to be a great fall. A similar pasuk, bechumam ashis es mishtayim. When they were all heated up, I'm going to make their banquet, and over there, the end of the pasuk says, and they're going to fall. So again, the same idea that when they're in high spirits and banquets and things like that, that's the reason why they should fall. So we had here about 12 reasons or 12 sources. Ashkei Rabba Baravu Elio. Rabba Baravu met Elio Anavi. Amalei Keman Chazi Esther Bavdachi. What was the truth? Why did Esther really do it? Amalei Kikula Tanai Kikula Amarai. She had all the reasons in mind. She had all these plans, all these possibilities. She had all of them in mind, and she thought it's good reason for all these psukim, all these tactics would be a good reason. The pasuk says, it says he went home and he told his family, Zeresh and all his, not his family, Zeresh and all of his wise men, all of his friends. It says about the honor of his wealth and his abundant children. And he said, what am I going to do about Mordechai? Like called Zanan and Shovel, like I said before. And then she said they had the Eitzah of making the tree, the gallows of 50 amos. But it says, Robanav, he had a lot of children. How many children did he have? The Kama Robanav. So we know 10 children, but the one says there were more. Amarav Shloshim, he had 30 children. Asara Mesu, Asara Nitlu, Asara Machazon Al Psachim. 10 of them died, 10 of them were hung, like the ones we know in the Megillah, and 10 of them became poor and they were begging by the doors. That there were 10 and 10, like you said, but the last 10 was not the ones who were poor, they weren't only 10, they were 70. So there were 10 that were died, 10 that were hung, and 70 that were begging by the doors. This pasuk is Seveim Balachem Niskaru. Those people, this is by the Shir of Chana, by the Tefillah of Chana. Over there it says Sveim Balachem Niskaru. Those, I didn't mean the last word over there. Sveim Balachem Niskaru. Those people who were satisfied, satiated, they had to be hired out for bread. Once upon a time they were Sveim, they were satisfied, full, and they became poor, and they had to even become hired out for bread. But the Gemara is darshaning al tikri Sveim ela shivim, that the word can be read shivim, 70.
This is not in Megillah.
No, this whole pasuk is in Shmuel. And the more darshaning as far as the story of the Megillah says, I don't know how you see that, and not the Sveim but shivim. Shivim were hired out for bread. Rabbi Barabba says that total sum of all of them, so far we said either 30 or 90. Now he says all that together they were 208. Because it says Robanav, that was the pasuk, Kvodashov Robanav, and the gematria, the numerical value of the Rov is 208. But the Marsakash is not. Robanav gematria must have our base up, it's 218. If you read like this, Vav, Reish, Vav, Beis. Reish is 200, Vav and Vav is 12, 2 is 8, so it's 218. Rav Nachman Yitzchak Rov, if it has the word out above. It says it Vav Reish Beis.
6, 12, 13, 14. 214.
Oh, you're right. Thank you. My mistake. 214. So why are you saying 208? The Gemara says, it says it without above, so Vav Reish Beis is 208.
How many wives did he have?
How many wives? Doesn't say. You're right. According to how many children, we see how many wives. True. The pasuk says, "But on that night, the sleep of the king." That was between the two banquets, right? We had a banquet. He went, and that night he wasn't able to sleep well. The word "nud" means moving. His sleep was moving. He wasn't able to sleep. And then the second day was the second banquet. So Amar Avitanchom, Nadada Shnas Malkush Alolam. It says Hamelach. And the Gemara says sometimes that the Drash HaMelech is darshaning about Hashem. The Pashtat is the king, Achashverosh, but the Gemara says that Hashem was not at rest. That the above ones, it's going to be angels, and the Tachtonim is the people, and that the Rashi says that the Malachim were keeping him up. Here Rashi says on the second column over here that the Malachim were bothering him the whole night, and they said, Kofi Tova, pay to you ingrate, pay to the one who you owe. Someone did you a favor. And the last suggestion is take it literal that Achashverosh wasn't able to sleep. And why wasn't he able to sleep? Something fell into his head. He also was wondering, why did Esther invite Haman? The question before, why? That was the Akabadim. Why is Esther inviting Haman here? She wants to talk to me. Why is she inviting Haman? Maybe they want to kill me, which was one of her plans before. Maybe they want to kill me, and Itaki got suspicious. Then he said, why is nobody, I have no friends. Is nobody, Rachamli means still a friend. There's nobody love me that would inform me about this plan. Maybe I did a favor to some, maybe someone did me a favor, I never paid him back. So people are not interested in helping me out. Maybe people don't tell me because they see that I don't pay back any favors. So right away he said, bring the Chronicles, I want to see if I owe anybody any favors, and that's why the story continues, that he brought the Chronicles, then he found the story of Bixu B'Seresh, that Mordechai Taka was not paid back. Yes, everybody. Thank you. Sorry for the overtime. A big duff. We'll be back in a minute or two with Tehillim. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. If I can ask, is the microphone improvement? Is it better than usual?
Yes, it is. It is better.
Okay, Baruch Hashem. Thank you. Thank you, Shaul. Thank you.
Thank you
We'll
very
be back
much.
soon.
Thank you, Shaul. Thank you.
They said it better.
Yeah.
Sorry, are we done? Ari, I have no. Okay, thanks. Okay, fine. I'll wait, I guess.
Well, welcome everybody. Now not to record. No. Okay.